All right, this is the second part of the tutorial on how we use the Effect Controls tab, how it allows us to move things or rotate things or change the opacity of things. For this particular lesson, I have my Arizona project, the same one I was working on last time around, and I have the same shot that I scaled up last time where I got rid of the kid here in the corner that was scratching his armpit. What I've done is I've added the title Majestic to the shot. Now that looks pretty good, but imagine that I want to add even a little bit more visual interest. And let's say that I would like to move the title Majestic from this side of the screen over to this side of the screen as the clip is playing. Just add some motion and some kind of moving text to give it another extra piece of interest. So how do I do that? Well, it's relatively easy. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to select the clip, which will bring up all my choices here in the Effect Controls tab. I'm going to go to Motion. And because I'm changing the position, I do want to go to this value. And I'm going to go ahead and click this stopwatch, which turns on keyframes for this clip. So I'm going to click this, and you'll notice that it forms a little diamond right here. Now, what I have here is a smaller version of my timeline, which features only the Majestic title. So you can see as I move this playhead that it affects the playhead down at the bottom of the screen. So right here, I've put the keyframe, which tells Premiere that at this point in time, the title needs to be right down here. So what I want to do is I want to go later in time, and I'm going to go to the end of this clip. You can see on the timeline how I've just about reached the end. I'm going to go one more frame. There you go. Come back. And now I need to add another move to tell Premiere that Majestic needs to be in this spot when it reaches this point in the timeline. So I'm going to click and drag on my X value there, and I'm going to move it right here to the other side of the screen. You notice now I have two keyframes, and I can actually use these arrows to jump from one to the other, which is helpful. I'm going to real quick turn on my title safe. And we're going to confirm that that's pretty good. Yeah, it's right on. So what I want to do now is I'm going to render this out by hitting Enter. And we're going to see what this move looks like. Okay, so it looks okay. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. But the main problem is that it's too fast. So going all the way across the screen may not be realistic for the amount of time that I need this to run. So I'm going to come back up here to Effect Controls, and I need to make sure that whenever I change one of these values that I'm right on top of one of these keyframes with my playhead. So I'm going to jump over to here, and instead of going all the way to the left side of the screen, I'm just going to come halfway, maybe even a little bit less, just like that. I'm going to render it again, and then we'll see how that turns out visually. Yeah, that's a lot better, a lot more normal paced. So let's add a couple of touches to make it look nice. I'm going to add a dissolve here by right-clicking and choosing Apply Default Transitions. I'm going to add dissolves here and here and here. Now, you'll notice that my dissolves don't quite line up. So I'm actually going to drag this out to where they are in line with each other. But when I do that, I'm going to notice that there's a new problem. Because my clip starts earlier, as I go through here, you can actually see the point where the title starts moving, which is not really an effect that I want to create. So I'm going to click on Majestic again. You'll notice that since there's more up here at the top of the clip, that now my keyframe's kind of starting about 20 frames in. So I just can grab this keyframe, slide it to the edge, and it's going to do exactly what I want it to do. I can hit play, and it'll move right there at the beginning. Looks good. So now I'm going to, real quick, add an effect. I'm going to choose Gaussian Blur, which is just a nice blur effect that you can add parameters to. So what I'd like to create is an effect where when I dissolve from this wide shot to this wide shot, that this shot starts out blurry and then goes clear. And I can use keyframes just like I did on that move to affect how much blur is being applied to this clip. So I'm going to click this and drag it right there. Notice there's no blur yet. I am working with this clip. So what I have to do is I have to go to the head of this clip. I can do it right here. And I'm going to add keyframes by turning on this stopwatch. And I'm going to make this a really large number, like 200. And then I'm going to jump forward a little bit in time. You'll notice it's really blurry. And then at about right here, I'm just going to click, type 0. There's that second keyframe. And all of a sudden, on this dissolve, I have this nice kind of focusing effect. Last thing I want to do is I would like my title to do the same thing that that clip does. So I'm going to right click on Gaussian blur and I'm going to click copy. I'm going to come here to the title and I'm going to click paste. There are my keyframes. So you'll notice that it's kind of off the edge here. There's not really a good way to fix that. So what I can do is just add a keyframe there at the top of the clip that says, actually right here, that says 200. And then I can move this one a little bit later. And now it's a nice effect. So when you do copy and paste these keyframe enhanced effects, you may run into an instance where the keyframes don't quite line up. So you can utilize turning them on, turning them off, re-adding the values, which will create new ones. And what it'll do is it will allow you to kind of get everything to look nice and lined up together. So now I have this nice effect where it dissolves and it does that. And I've done all of that by using keyframes for these properties in the Effect Controls panel. And that's just some of the really cool things that you can do with Effect Controls.